All right. Good morning, everyone. I am Amelie Schaefer, and I'm here with Kadri Cunningham. And today we're doing part 2 of Asana and ClickUp, or ClickUp versus Asana. And we are going to focus on a social media calendar. So basically, we're going to show how we would go about setting up a social media calendar, how we would manage the process on both platforms. So we're going to start in Asana. And then we're going to move to ClickUp, and just know that this is just one way of doing it. The great thing about both of these programs is it gives you a lot of flexibility. So the way that Kadri and I are going to show doesn't necessarily mean it's the only way to do it, right? Like it's just the way that we do it. And that's why I really love these programs, is because it gives you flexibility to organize things in a way that makes sense to you, right? Like there isn't just one, you can only do it one way. Like it isn't that at all. I mean, if you watch other videos about Asana or ClickUp, people organize things in a completely different way than I do or Kadri does. And so we're just going to show you our way of doing it. And even you're going to see differences between how Kadri and I do it. So Kadri, just do it really quickly, introduce yourself, and then we'll jump in. I have all of your links and stuff for people to reach out to you in the description of the video, so you don't have to worry about that. But just introduce yourself again for anyone that hasn't watched part 1.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for having me again. My name is Kadri, like you said. I am the owner of Simplified Ops Collective, where I am a certified director of operations. So basically help 6 to 7 figure business owners create more systemized, run their business like clockwork, really let them be able to step out and their team running efficiently. So, and of course that comes with always using a project management system.
Yeah.
So we are
Couldn't do it without it.
we are well versed in the project management system. So of course, as I go through Asana and stuff, I'll be basically breaking it down as I go. So you can kind of see my process, working through, and hopefully that can help everybody else out. And then of course you can take that and tweak it like you said, it gives you a little piece of it, and then you can take it and run.
Yeah, awesome. And so if you are watching the video live, feel free to put comments in, questions. If you catch the replay, feel free to drop your questions there and I'll be happy to answer them. Or if Kadri needs to, I'll let her know. Make sure you subscribe and like the video, because it helps the algorithm and helps other people see the video. That'll be useful for them. So, okay, let's get started. I'm going to add your screen to the stream. There we go. And so let's start. We're going to start with the content calendar piece, and then we'll start to get into details, and then we'll move over to ClickUp and kind of show it from that perspective.
Yeah. So what I normally do is when you're setting up a content calendar, ooh, I've had this one for a very long time. Let's go to 2021. And we're almost to 2022. Of
right?
course.
I know, it's like
we use these examples over and over for years to come. So, but it all works the same. Is when you're creating a content calendar, whether it's in Asana or you're using a content management system like CoSchedule, there always has to be a centralized place that I always say that you should be keeping track of the workflows. And CoSchedule, for example, is really good at putting that content in and scheduling it. But before then, you're actually trying to work through the workflow and making sure that it actually gets to those platforms, whether it be email or a social media post. And so that starts in the project management system.
Yeah. We use Content Studio. And so there are options to put the copy and stuff in there and see it on a calendar, but I prefer to have my project management tool as my main dashboard for everything. So although I appreciate that Content Studio has that, I want to manage everything in one place, right? I want to be able to quickly switch between like what I'm working on versus having to log into a whole nother system to like go and look at it. I want to see it and review it in my project management tool, which is like my main work area. So I'm with you on that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because it's like you got to have the starting point, and then that's like your last step. And of course, other people will probably do it opposite, where they're probably more if you're on the marketing side and you like CoScheduler, you pull it back over here with the workflow of it.
Right.
So how I started is one, I like to create my workflow of what needs to happen before we actually get to the point where we need to schedule. So you're always looking at the process. It's almost a process map of the content calendar of where does it start and where does it actually end? So normally where it starts is going to be with the copy or the strategy. Most likely your strategy is going to come first, and that comes with themes. So I always like to have like an upcoming content to create. It's called a pile up zone, a content bank of sorts, where you're really just dumping in all of your thoughts and all the things that you want to do and creating your strategy in here. So whether you're creating the strategy yourself or you have a marketing manager that you're hopping on with and creating a strategy with, this is where I would put that information. So
and you're in board view, and you would generally work in board view when you're working on a content calendar. That's where you prefer to work, right?
I would, because I start to upload images. We would it just kind of makes it so you're almost moving across the boards. Asana, though, has recently added a new tool that has made it really easy to move things down the list. It used to be a little bit more complicated because if you have a lot of like stuff in here where you're just like tons of tasks, dragging and
I remember
published, can sometimes get really crazy.
Yeah.
So, you can close, but they also did add where you can actually come up here and choose. So if you are a list person, it actually is a lot easier to move things across the board because of this new Asana feature here where you can do that. I like the board view because I'll start adding images. It makes it real pretty.
Right.
You kind of start to see those. I think of it as like it is your content calendar. And so you're seeing those pictures move across the board.
Right. Exactly.
Basically, as I would start is it's you could either break it off by, January theme, February theme, and you're just like listing these out and you're giving yourself ideas. And so you're consistently coming down here and just listing out, what do I want? If this is my main theme, so let's say my main theme is ClickUp versus Asana. This is where I would come in and I would start listing all of those topics underneath it. So I would say, we're breaking it down into content bank review. We're doing a high, just want to go more deep. How to break teams down in Asana, right? So I'm taking that one theme and then I'm breaking it down into smaller features. That then allows me to have, whether it be Monday or, every other month, you're going in here and you're pulling out, okay, these are the topics that I actually need to start outlining and creating things for. So I would actually put in here, because as you realize that you're saying, okay, what's my starting point? What's my ending point? My starting point is actually going to be just the outline. So when you create a process, you're going to start something very basic and then you're going to start to expand on it.
Yeah.
So I would simply put in here, I would normally do the title and then I would do the date. So like in just like a fashion of 2021, do depending whatever it is that you're typing out, whether it's be an email or it's a social post, like social media. I normally title it with like, what is it? Like, is it an email that we're writing?
Yeah.
Social media image that we're doing, a social post, for example. Then that's when I come in here. And normally you would have a template in here. Is I always would recommend creating a template.
Yep. I do the same.
Yeah. And I know ClickUp is a little better with templates when you're in the free version. Asana, in order to create Asana templates, you do have to have the premium. So I do a little bit of a workaround where I will either have a
just have a task somewhere.
Templates, like a board overview.
Even though in ClickUp you can have templates, we still keep a template task at the very top of, and when I'll show you how we do it. Even though it's saved as a template, we still keep it visible because I don't know. I think it's just easier to see. I don't know, like even like our blog, we have a blog template, but I still keep it at the top of the topics list just for ease of use. I mean, I don't know, maybe it's unnecessary, but I like it. So I keep it.
But it's just something, right? It's like, maybe it doesn't need to happen, but it's easy to access.
The other thing about the social media calendar is knowing your schedule. Like, when are you going to post what? And I think it's easier to maintain a schedule so you can get used to sort of like, we know every Tuesday we do a certain post, every Thursday we do a certain post, we send out emails on Fridays, like we have a schedule for those. Like blogs go out like Monday, Wednesday, we have 2 separate social media posts that go out Tuesday, Thursday, and then the email goes out Friday. So like, I personally think having a schedule makes it easier because it's more predictable. Whereas like if you don't have something like that, then it's just like kind of random and it's easy to kind of like lose track of it or not keep on top of it. So for us, we like having a certain schedule where we do things on certain days.
Yes, 100%. And especially in your template. I don't know how ClickUp does it, but like with us, we can at least do, like, I would say, you know, I'm writing an email. So like write copy for email.
Yeah.
I would actually, in my template, assign whoever is actually supposed to do this. I wouldn't do a due date, but I would assign who is actually the person responsible
Yeah,
for
you
these
can do
actions.
that. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Then depending on if you're really sequenced already, you know, and like what you're doing, like you said, with like Mondays, you do this, you could simply put in like, we do this every Monday. Then we do a review and approve for the email copy on Tuesdays, for example, you know, if there's enough time.
Mm-hmm.
And then I would then assign that to like the CEO, for example,
Mm-hmm.
so that she can review it. And then we're doing like final edits on email copy and so on. Then you go, and then basically in my template, the workaround is that you would come in here, you're going to duplicate the task, you're going to make sure that all the assignees transfer over. You could do due dates. You really can't though, like if you come down to, because if you put your due dates, it's once you duplicate your, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks behind already, you're gonna have to update them. So you basically
So the thing with ClickUp with due dates is if you have a template with due dates and let's say you have subtasks in it and you duplicate the task, not templates, but let's say you duplicate the task, it will ask you if you want to reschedule the subtasks based on the main task date. So it'll look at how many days apart you scheduled them. So like if the main task was due on Friday and all the subtasks were due prior to that, and then you go put it to like 3 weeks later, it'll ask you and then it'll reschedule it to that same interval, which I think is really nice. Yeah.
And it'll do the same with too, or do you have to upgrade?
Yeah, it'll do it on the free version.
That's awesome, because that is a flaw with Asana with their subtasks. On anytime you duplicate or even with the tasks, they stay.
Right.
It is useful though, because you can copy everything over, as well as I always add anything in my template. I'm going to add any type of resources into this template for the when we're copying. So that means if I have a folder of all email copy, I'm going to come up here. I'm going to go to Google Drive because that's what I use. I don't know if it should post up, but basically it pops up. You would choose your email that you log into, and then you could search Google Drive, Dropbox, and then you add that folder. Every time I duplicate this, whoever comes in here is always going to have access to that folder.
Yeah, we do the same. Exactly.
And that's I think having that I start ahead, like as soon as you make that template, do it right, like add all those resources right away. So you're not having to go back and circle back to them.
Yeah, I agree 100%. Like I think putting like more information is better, like links to certain things, whatever, you know, you need to do. The other thing we do is, and I'll show it when we switch to ClickUp, but we have a space for the asset folder, which is like where we save each, like if it's a post for that week, then all those posts will be saved in one place, or if it's one episode or whatever we're doing, or email for the week. And then as far as we will embed the SOP in the task description so that it's always there. And if we update it on our Google Docs, which is where we have our SOPs, it'll automatically update into the task versus having to update the tasks individually, which I like, because if you make one change in an SOP in a Google Doc and then you have to go find all the other tasks that have it in it, then you have to update all of them. So that was the only other thing that we do differently. So let's talk about, so you did email, let's do social media. So you said you do images. Can you show us what that would look like with the images?
Yeah. So basically, depending on what social media task you're doing, you know, like if you have a topic or title, it would just basically be like social media, however you want to title this, with like the date. I always like to have the date up here of like the date that things are actually being posted.
Got it.
And then you would also make this up here, whatever I do, the 12th. 12th, my birthday. So when that pops up in my head, of course. Then of course I would actually tag it as social media, so it turns blue. Same for email. Like I would come up here and tag email marketing, so it turns green for me. And then I would come up here and I would tag here. Then basically, as I'm coming through, I would actually, as soon as I'm finished and I've created the image and things are running through, like you're going to do approval, ready to post. Once I get to this point, I'm going to actually add in, let's see if it should let me do, give them access. Okay, so you could actually drop into the folder. You're actually just gonna, we select the image, and then it posts the image here for me.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
So you actually can't open it up in Asana. I think it probably just takes a couple minutes. But normally
Okay.
you should, let me see if I can do a refresh. It should pop up in Asana, so you don't actually have to like leave Asana and view the image. You can open it in Google Drive. It will take you to the folder.
Okay.
Let's see if it loads here for me.
It's always when you're on live, like that's when
Oh, I
it
know,
doesn't
it's
do
so slow.
it. It does it to me all the time. I'm like, I swear it just worked. It
No.
did.
Okay, let's see if it will. It should give me choose cover image. Okay, and the image just might not be, it might take a minute, but it should, once this loads up and gives a minute, this should actually give you the
It said
image
enable
here.
preview. Is that the thing that you click on
Oh,
that
is that
again?
maybe what it is? Enable?
When the one that's in the center, do you see where it says enable preview? Can you
Yeah,
click?
I wonder if that's new. Normally it should just pop up. Let's see. Okay, let's see.
Did it do it?
Oh, it should pop up. It should just give me the whole. Yeah, it's gonna faulty on me just because I'm in here.
Okay. Well,
But
anyway,
it
it
should
can be
actually
said.
give
Yeah.
me the image. So as you're coming through here and you're looking
You'll be
through,
able to see them.
you're actually able to see all those posts. Another way you can break this up too, if this isn't like, if you want to actually break it up into a real like content calendar, not just a workflow, you would do like September, October, November, December up here on the boards.
How
So
do
that
you
you're
typically do it? Do you normally break it down by month in that way?
I don't. I just like to see things published. Like I just want to know that they're published. As long as my due date is here, I'm always going to be able to come into the calendar section and be able
Right,
to
and
see
see.
these. So I don't break it up by month, but because where I would break it up into month is actually down here. Like I would do my January themes. I would come down here and mark these down I would break it down even to like, okay, these are my 4 topics. I am going to schedule these out the November 11th, the 12th, the 13th, and 14th. And then I simply, once I'm done with these, I would mark them off and say like, yes, I did that topic. I get a little bit more detail oriented in that way where I have them in 2 different spots, but sometimes that can be a little bit too much for some people. And it's preferable to have, January, February, March, April, where everything is staying and you're simply just listing out your ideas for that month. And then moving them into a published column at the end once you're finished with it, or just marking it complete. Thing with Asana is you can do all tasks where you want to continue to see your social media calendar with all those completed tasks, or you can do incomplete tasks. And then once you mark it complete, it just moves it off. And so you don't
Or
have
you
to
can move it,
worry
like
about
we
it
move things
published.
to like a published area, so you could do that to keep them stored. So
Mhm.
typically,
Just
when
depends
you're
on kind of like, do you want to always see everything to look back at, or do you not care if it's marked
right,
complete
like
and
if you don't, then you
disappear?
can just close it. But if you do, then you could set up some way, like for our blogs, we have a published area and our videos because we do updates. We do like we do monthly updates, SEO updates, those kinds of things, and then we
Mhm.
list it out with the link to the blog, the link to the video, so just to have like a database of our published content.
Mhm.
And it's just the way that we choose to do it. Doesn't mean you have to do it that way. I do have a question. So typically when you are creating, let's say this, whether it's a social media calendar or content calendar, so do you find that your team or your clients teams, they write the copy first, then create the images, and then review everything? Or how do you typically find it? Like they write the copy, then the person wants to review it, or you review it, then the images, then they review it again? Or how do you normally do the flow of that?
Yeah, so normally we will have them do we'll normally write the email and do the posts at the same, like they'll create the images
Okay.
at the same time as the email, and then we'll
Yeah.
do one big review. And so we'll go in there. Most of the time on the emails, like a lot of my, depending on who's writing the copy
Yeah.
and who's your designer, like if it's multiple people, like you
Right.
have your system on, okay, this person's writing the copy and they're going to highlight any of the things that they want into the social media image, so then that gets passed over to the
Right.
designer. they create the images, and then it goes for review. We do review in bulk just so that we're not like double touching a bunch of times. It's just better on our end to do one full review. But again, that's just depending on what works best. And if you have to review the copy first in order to get to the images, because sometimes you have to pull that stuff out.
Yeah, that's typically how we do it too. Like plus if I'm reviewing something, I want to see the copy and the images at the same time. Otherwise, if I'm just looking at the images, I'm gonna have to go read the copy to make sure it all matches,
Exactly.
you know, so I would have to do it anyway. I was just wondering how you guys typically do it. And then from this view, can you see the subtasks like from this view, or do you have to actually click on? That was one of the things I wanted to ask you from last time.
Oh, good question. So in board view, I can click here, but it only gives me a couple. So I believe if I do, will it give me all of them? It does. Okay. So I believe it has a
okay, so you can click it
on this one. Yeah. So this one, it might actually go all the way down there. They've been making a couple updates on here, but it looks like it gives you quite a bit. Same for list view. I love using list view to like drop this down
to be able to see everything that's
list view is great in this feature because with board is anytime you open a task, you're always going to be pulled up into a new screen.
Right. Yeah.
Same for subtask. You're always going to be pulled up into a new screen. Whereas when you're in here, when you're like moving lots of pieces and you want to see a bunch of different things, you can come into the list view and everything pulls up on the side. So it's not like a big pop-up for you. It's on the side and you can simply, move really quickly down what you're doing.
Yeah.
And
now,
again,
do you
assign all at once, due dates all at once, anything that you need to do in list view quickly?
Yeah. So do you typically, let's say it's a quote card that's going to go to multiple platforms. Do you typically have them upload all the images for every platform to the Asana task? Or do you have them put all of the images in the Google folder and you review them there? I'm just curious how
So
you do that.
I would definitely have, if it was multiple, like if we were using it as like a review thing, it's a folder. So
yeah, okay,
it's
we do too.
you almost have a folder in Google Drive with like all of your emails, all of your social media images, and then we're linking just in Asana that folder to be able
that's
to
what we
jump
do.
in.
Okay.
You can do that two ways too. You can get the main primary email folder if you're really good about searching, like, okay, I know where I need to go. Versus if you have someone who needs that direct link every time, you would just need to go in and make sure that folder's uploaded.
I do think it's helpful if you just take one of the images. Like if you want to see what the posts are going to look like all together, particularly if it's like Instagram or something more visual, I would say one image. I wouldn't have them upload all of them. I would have all the images and the copy go to. So we have what we call like our content database. We then have a folder that has draft. It'll say like draft social media posts, draft blog posts, draft YouTube videos. And then inside of there will be another folder. And then each video or each week will get its own. For social media, it'll be a week. And then the copy will be in that week's folder and all the images will be in that folder. And then we link the task to that folder. Same thing with like the video. So like this episode that we're doing right now has its own folder, which is like what you pulled that image from. And so it'll live in there. And then when it's published, our operations person will move it from draft to published. And so then we have it all in the published area. I was just curious. And I think if people do want a visual, just upload one of the images, right? Like just Facebook or Instagram or whatever. It doesn't matter which one, just upload one so that you can see it. But I think both platforms could handle you uploading multiple images, but I think it's a little unnecessary because I wouldn't want to save the images long-term in here. I'd want them to be in a Google folder. I mean, that's just my personal preference. But
yeah, I always think of it as like a factor of like the backup. If Asana were to go down and just disappear on you for some reason, you would want to have a backup somewhere in Google Drive.
Absolutely.
For like things like I would say like if you really want to break it down and you really are using Asana or ClickUp as your content calendar, having something for Facebook, having something for Instagram could help you with that. But again, you're lots of images and that's to get a full overview.
Yeah.
I know for stories, we've done like where you have to post a lot of stories and you can't schedule those. We've actually shared the link to like Canva before.
Yeah, we'll do that too. If that, or for
quickly.
templates, like if there's templates to work from, we'll put the templates in the SOP as part of like hey, here's a list of places you can get templates from. I do know some people have automation set up between ClickUp and their and social media posting. So like to Facebook, we don't do that personally. So I don't have it set up. But in that case, if someone was setting that up, they would need to put the copy and the images into ClickUp because the automation pulls it from ClickUp and puts it, schedules it to whatever.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. So I'm going to switch over to ClickUp really quick and kind of go over what I have set up here. So I'm going to start actually in list view. This is actually where I prefer to be, but I'm going to show list, board, and then I'll show calendar. So over here, we have our categories or our statuses. So I keep a topics list, which is like an inactive status. This is that planning place that you were kind of talking about. So this is where we would plan out like the different topics. Something that's slightly different than how you do it is we break it down by list. So blog production has its own list, podcast, social media has its own list. I personally, just again, this is just our way of doing it. We wouldn't manage all of those things in one place. But the nice thing about ClickUp is you can click on the main folder and you can see everything in the folder if you wanted to see what's going on, like blog production. You can see the blog, podcast, you could see the podcast, social media, you can see the social media, and then published, our published list. And then you could look at the calendar. If you wanted to see everything that was going on, you'd be able to look at the calendar to see everything. We don't manage everything in one list. We split it up, okay? So that's really the main difference, but same idea here. So here is our coffee fact. This is just a past coffee fact that we use. If I click this down, I can see this. I can see the subtasks. I can see who it's tasked to. And then we have some custom fields here. So our asset folder, this is the Google folder that has the images, has the copy documents. And then we put a type, we say what platform it's going to go to, and then we can have an image. You don't have to have the image. I just did it because I wanted to show an example of that. So we would dump our idea.
Custom fields, like
custom, what'd you say?
Like the image and the platform and the type and stuff. Are those like custom fields or are those with ClickUp? Or they?
No, those are all custom fields. They come from right here. So you can create different custom fields like relationship to other tasks. You can show progress. You can put people, numbers, money. Like you can track accounting in here because you can put money. And then if you have the paid version, you can add up columns if you wanted that. But you can put email addresses, text, check boxes. You can see progress. That'll, as subtasks get checked off, it'll show the progress of the task.
And so then you actually created the asset folder link, and then you always link, and then you show that. That's awesome. I really like that feature.
Yeah. So we do this with all of our sort of ongoing content processes. Is we have an asset folder, and just like you mentioned, we put the due date as the date it's actually going to be published, and then all of the subtasks fall into
when they actually should be done.
Yeah, exactly. When they should be done. And then you can always click on the subtask to see it and then go back to it. This is the main task. This is the pinned image. That's why it looks like that. Otherwise, we actually don't pin the images. That's not something we do, but I wanted to show it because I knew you were going to talk about that. But as you can see, this is our old process, and it's just an example, but showing like you would have your SOP embedded here so that people could see exactly what needs to happen when. That's embedded in the description. And then you have your subtasks here, and then they're going to have their own description, you can embed, and then they're going to have their own checklist right inside of here. And then the way that we move things through, and if you don't want the image, but you still want it uploaded, you can just remove it from there. You can just unpin it. But if you want it pinned.
Oh, because you pin it from down there.
So I attached it and then I pinned it, which means when I go to board view, it'll show it. I just wanted to show it as an example. So then we use go ahead.
No, go ahead. was going to cut you off there. I'm sorry.
No, please go.
Well, I had a question about like where you uploaded. I noticed that you can upload almost into the comment section and in
You can.
Is there a difference between what, like, where you should actually post that image? Like,
so I uploaded it to attachments so that it would show in the board view, which I will show, but you can attach documents here. Like I could just,
but that won't actually show you on the calendar. That just
it won't be the same. It won't be the same way, but I can put it into the comments. Sorry, I don't know why there we go. So like that's our image for our video today. So if I wanted to put it there, but it's not going to be the same as attaching it this way and pinning it because it's in the comments for whatever reason. But these things, you can open it right inside of ClickUp, and really nice, you can add comments and things. So if you were trying to do a review of something and you were like, hey, I just need to let you know, like this needs some love, or, you know, whatever, like you can add comments. Oh, I guess you can pin this as the cover image. My bad. I didn't realize you could do that. So you can pin this as the cover image if we wanted that to be it.
Well, that's awesome. Then, so honestly, it's like if you accidentally post it on one, you know, drag it and drop it. And
yeah, so now it just pulled it right over there because I pinned it and it unpinned the coffee fact. And then I can pin this one and it'll switch. So that's one way. There is a video recording right inside of ClickUp, which I really love. It's just like Loom. So if you click the recording inside of a task, it will only record inside the task. If you click the recording outside, like over here, if I record a clip, then I can record all of ClickUp. That's the only difference. But it'll post the video clip right inside of here for you, and then you can assign it to someone.
Mini Loom inside of ClickUp.
Yeah, it's awesome. So anyway, the way we do this is we have our statuses, our topic list, to do, in progress, ready for review, approved, and complete. Some depending, we might put a scheduled here, but usually approved, that means it's scheduled. And then we will move it to publish social media posts after it's done. But we use the type just like you were using. And then let me switch over to board view so you can see that. So again, like what we do is it needs to be done, but no action's been taken yet. In progress is everything's been assigned, it's been given due dates, and people are starting to work on it. That's when we would move it there. And then ready for review is if there's any piece of it that's ready for review, it'll live there until whoever's reviewing it reviews it. So I can click to see the subtasks for that one. And then we'll move it to ready for review. And then I'll review it, or Janine will review it, whoever's supposed to review it. And then they put it to approved. And then approved, if we don't have a scheduled status, lets the person know, our social media manager know, that she can go ahead and schedule those items for it. And then we just put it to complete when it's done. And that it's asking me because it's waiting on. So this subtask isn't done. We have dependencies set up, so it's warning me to let me know that these aren't done. So it's like telling me, well, the copy's not done, the design's not done, and then I say I can continue anyway, or I can resolve all items. So if I say no, it'll move it back for me.
So I see your boards as more of statuses instead of titles. Like those are almost statuses. Like,
yeah, or you could do it you could change them into months where you would have like, you know, October, November, December, January, and you could put your posts in that way. So you can change these to whatever you want them to be. But that's how I'm just showing how we use it.
But I like that though. I like how it catches it because it is a status. You catch it before you hit to the next status.
Yeah, if you have a dependency, and you can tell there's a dependency by this little that little circle there. Did you see this? Shows that there's a dependency. It's telling me that it's waiting. So it says it's waiting on another post, and I can click on that and it'll show me what I'm waiting on, which is just the other post, because we put out our coffee facts on Tuesday, or coffee quotes on Tuesday and coffee facts on Thursday. So there's a dependency showing that like this one needs to be done first, and then this one can be done. Oh, I'm sorry. This one needs to be done first, then this one can be done.
Does ClickUp have a way that when you mark something complete, it'll automatically move it to a new status for you? Like, does it have those types of automations?
So
or is that
let's say this is in progress, but the copywriter is working on theirs, and let's say theirs is ready for review. So we'll just go ahead and put put it to ready for review. And let's say that the designer is still working on theirs. Yep, we'll say that that's in progress. So it'll put those in there, and then this will live in progress until all these items are done. That's manual though. Moving this one is manual because like the person managing the process would be looking like, okay, all right, that's ready for review. Then let's say the designer puts it ready for review. Okay, let's move this to ready for review. And then that gives, and then, she assigns it to myself or to Janine, whoever's going to review it. And then we know, okay, I can review this. Once it's approved, we would move it to approved. And then that would give the person, our social media manager, to know to go ahead and schedule those posts, like put them into Content Studio. Is that what you were asking?
Yeah, kind of. How does she know when you moving it to approved kind of gives her
normally, there's usually a comment, like we would put a comment, but because actually, you know what we would do is we would move these. That's what I forgot. Move these to complete, which gives, so then let's say I'm going to resolve all these. It then releases the dependency on the one that was waiting on it. So once we close those or move them to a done status, it will release this dependency. So there's no longer a dependency here. And it'll pop up as a notification for her in her notification center, telling her,
that
hey,
was my next question. So that's awesome then. So she automatically gets that notification, like everything else is done. Now it's your turn to hop in. That's
exactly. And it'll live in approved, and you don't have to keep it as approved. Like you could put ready for posting or something, or whatever status you want. And then that gives her the clue that she can go ahead and get them into the social media scheduler. And then obviously we have the calendar view, just like we had talked about. And you can see, if you wanted to see the task here, you could click on it. And let me see if I can. And over here, you can choose kind of like what things you want to look at. You can put like the parent name if you want to see what the parent name is. Any tags. It's not showing up. I don't know why it's not showing up there. Huh, that's weird. Let me refresh. But this gives you a way to be able to see the calendar, and let me see if it'll show the image. I don't know if it will. We don't use the image one, so I'm not sure if it'll show it. Well, I guess it won't. Let me see.
It thinks about it though.
I know. I don't know.
Once you click it, that'd be really cool. If it gives you the images, that's huge in my opinion, because I don't think you can see that much on.
Let me see here. Oh, there we go. It's it just gives a file. It doesn't show. I thought it would.
But it basically lets you know that like something is attached though, which is nice.
Yeah. And it shows you that it has subtasks. So, this is a lot more information than I would show on each of these things, because if you get a lot of them, it would be a lot to look at.
Well, because that was my next question. Does it ever cut you off? Because I see the one above that you have 3 on there. If you start to expand them, does it start to cut off on how many is in each day, or does it just keep expanding the day?
No, it would keep expanding.
Okay, because I know Asana gives you like 5, and then it starts to kind of where you have to you can click a button and it'll expand it.
Yeah, so it'll show you like 3 or 4, I think, and then it'll say expand, and it'll expand the day. So if you're looking at like everything on your calendar, it won't show you everything. You'll have to click it to show everything, but then it'll open up the day so you can see it.
And then does this sync to the Google Calendar if you wanted to?
Yeah, you can sync it to your calendar. I don't have this one synced, and then but you can add your calendar. I don't.
Maybe it's like a separate calendar too, so it doesn't go on your regular one. It's like your content calendar if you needed it.
Yeah.
I don't know if you would ever need that though, because you would have this here and almost would be too.
Yeah. And the nice thing about this is so this shows us any unscheduled ones. So that topic list, so you can actually come in and start placing.
Oh, awesome.
From unscheduled. You can start placing them and like, okay, this one's missing it's missing a tag. So let's go ahead and give it a type. This is a coffee fact. And so then you can start dragging them, but this is, and then you can change the status right here. So I want to move this to do. So you can start planning in the calendar versus in list view if you want. And then you can start to see, I do this with the YouTube videos all the time because we do like a live video and we have a recorded. So I want to see it on the calendar to know what day they're going to go live, what day they're going to publish, and what day do I need to record or, you know, whatever. So I do it from there a lot. You know, and then you can start to like put your subtasks in as well. So you can plan that way. And then if I go back over to list view, all of that will be, everything I just moved will be over here. Let's see. Oh, board view will show you the images. So just like we were talking about, it will show the images. And this actually shows you, like, if you have multiple images in here, it'll go through, you can scan through them. But that's what this would look like in board view. I was trying to think if there's anything else. But we use the topic list to like dump all the topics in and keep them there until we're ready to work on them. So like brainstorming, like if you come up with a great quote you want to post, like we would just dump it in here and then only move it to do when we're ready for the team to take action on it.
Yeah, definitely. I always recommend having some type of pilot zone or brainstorm session because you're going to have lots of ideas, but you can't take action on all of them.
Yeah.
They just need a place to be held somewhere.
The other thing that we do, so in list view, you can use the list information up here, which I really, really love. And you can actually, like, if you wanted to assign a whole list to someone, you could. Like I could, you have to have the unlimited, but you could assign it, give it a due date. Again, this is the free version. I like to build things out on the free version to show what's possible there first. But you can attach things here. So if I wanted to attach, you know, that image here, not that we would need that, but it gives you the option to do that with the list information. Anyway, it's available. So then you have your list information. The thing we put here is the link to where we have our spreadsheet of all of our quotes. We keep a list of them and our coffee facts. Like we have the same thing for systematic excellence where we have like quote cards and whatever else we're going to share. But then we just keep track of them here. And then we link to that over here in the information space. Now, the only thing with the board view with that is that you can't see the list info. You actually have to click to see the list info. It's not going to just be at the top like in list view. But we use this for like main folder links or, you know, so like I said, we do draft social media posts. So like I could grab the link to this.
So like easy to access information.
Exactly. Like main information. The asset folder is the specific. So if I wanted to add to this and I would say like, this is the draft social media asset folder. I'd put that there, right? And you can create, like it'll show like a little thumbnail, but I like the link. So then we would put all that up there. The asset folder, though, is the very specific folder to that post or that week of posts or something. Like, you know what I mean? So yeah, I mean, that's how we would do it. And then if I want to look at the calendar for everything, if I want to see like the blog posts, the podcast, all of that, I would go to content calendar, the content management folder, and I'd look at the calendar view for everything, right? Like I would look at it. I want to see everything. That way I can see, okay, what quotes do we have? And you can use the tags and stuff to show, like if you want to see, like if it's a social media post or an email or whatever, you can use the tags for that.
Do you ever use the start and end date on any of this stuff, or is it always just like on a content calendar? You just
So we do sometimes, depending on what it is. So you can see this blog post I've done a start and end date on. It would depend on what the post is or what the task is. If I'm giving someone something like, I don't know, I can't think of anything good off the top of my head, but let's say for certain things, I I don't know, something that's like that's maybe a one-off project that's gonna take more than one day. Then I might do a start date, like, because I want them to start this and maybe do like an hour each day for 5 days. That's when I would use a start and end date. As far as the publishing, I use the due date of when we're gonna actually publish whatever it is.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. So something like, so we're migrating right now one of our systems. And so I did a start and end date for that because I want her to start on it, yesterday and work on it for the next few days on top of all the other things she's doing. So I do like a start and end date for that.
That makes
I
sense.
do think it also helps like with calendar surfing. Like if you like moving things down the calendar with like no real like reason or like end date to things. So having a start and end date gives like the team members some flexibility of when they can get it done. So
Like you need to start here, even though it doesn't actually
right.
need to be done here.
Yeah.
'Cause I do find that when you just have like an end date, depending on what it is, your team may not even see it unless they're looking ahead and being reminded to look ahead, that like they'll get to that due date and realize that it's
Right.
actually an 8-hour task and they should have started on it
Right.
4 days ago, but
Exactly.
they didn't see it because there was no
So
start date. So I think this
one
is
of the
really useful in
ways
that case.
and something that we're actually going through and reviewing right now, the operations person is working with the team on this, is that getting estimated times. Oh, remember I told you we have a template task? I I keep it at the top. I just think it's easy. Anyway, so what we've been doing is getting very, very specific about estimated times. So let's say we know that this is let me do the subtasks first. So let's say we know for sure that let's say this is going to take 2 hours. Let's just say for sure 2 hours. Let's say the images are going to take, I don't know, let's say an hour. Okay, let me say 1 hour. And let's say the scheduling's going to take 20 minutes. Okay. And so now we've estimated how long those take. So now it'll give me an estimate of 3 hours and 20 minutes. And then they will track their time in the subtasks and we'll be able to see a comparison on how long things take. And I think that's a really important part of that is understanding how long things take, So anyway, well, I think that's it. Thank you so much. This has been great. And again, if anyone's watching the replay, leave comments or questions and I'll be happy to answer them. If I can't answer, I'll make sure that I get them to Kadri so she can answer them. Please like and subscribe to catch my future videos. If you're looking to get in touch with Kadri, her information will be in the video description. Kadri, thank you so much for doing this with me. I'm really grateful.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. This was so much
awesome.
fun. I loved learning more about ClickUp. It's been really helpful. So it's good to see.
Yeah, this is awesome. And thank you for showing us Asana. I think Asana is a great program and whichever one people choose, I think is they're great options. It's just a matter of just picking one and using it.
Yeah, I think it's just a matter of preference on
what
feels the best to you, what is easiest for right now. And then always remember, you can always expand. You can always change. You're never set in stone. And especially with operations, you're always changing. So, I mean, you're always updating, always just figuring out what's going to work better. And sometimes switching programs, that's what happens. So
yeah, awesome. Well, thank you again so much. And thank you for everyone that was viewing live. Thank you for people that catch the replay. And again, make sure you subscribe to catch my future videos. So I hope everyone has a great day. Bye.